Hey folks, I'm Vasel and welcome to Crowdsurfing. This is a show in which we talk about Kickstarter and all the different games that are on that show. Alright, well, without further ado, we're going to get started by taking a look at some projects that are coming out right now. And by right now, I mean games that are on Kickstarter right now. So here we go. First of all, we have Sorcerer City. This is from Druid City Games, which has made a really big name for themselves with Grim Forest and just how beautiful that production was. This one here is a tile laying game, and at first blush I thought, it looks okay, but then I kind of went and looked at it farther, and I was like, well, I mean, James makes really simple games, right? That's the kind of his shtick, but simple games that are fun to play, and this looks like that, like a fun, fast tile laying game where you're playing things and trying to score things. I'm pretty excited about it actually because it looks like it fits that, hey, this could be a Spiel des Jahres winner if it wasn't a Kickstarter game. Blinks. This is kind of an interesting game of these blinking light devices. You're putting them next to each other and playing all sorts of games with them. Geek Century says, a game of the future. It does kind of look like a game of the future to some degree. It's a little more expensive than I think I would prefer. And I really would like to see them in person and see how they feel and the heft of them. But the concept is cool, and I like this whole, technology mixed with board gaming. Daily Magic has a really nice little game, it looks like that way anyway, called Songbirds. It's a really pretty game. It's a game in which you are playing different birds, and you're playing them to these rows, and trying to have the most in a row, or second if there's a tie, and then leaving one card in your hand, and that's the songbird you have. There's a lot of games that do this kind of thing, like you're helping make the power of something go up, but at the same time keeping some cards back so that you can control that power. That concept's cool, mixed with this songbird thing this game looks like a really neat game, and I like the stuff that Daily Magic does. Garfield Games has a game coming out called Architects of the West Kingdom. This is the beginning of a new trilogy from Shel Phillips, and Shel Phillips is known for Raiders of the North Sea in that trilogy, and that's some pretty good stuff. These were done in conjunction with Renegade, and Renegade has already announced that they're going to be doing this game too. Now, at first blush, when I looked at the board, and I showed it to Sam too, and we're like, that looks like Pillars of the Earth. It's not Pillars of the Earth, but it is a worker placement game where you're building a cathedral and has some similar looking to it, but it looks like a very different style game. We'll have to wait and see. Bezier Games is doing Werewords Deluxe Edition. This is based on their first game, Werewords, and I know this because they have my review of Werewords on this page. The art, I don't know if I'm a fan of the art, but it does, the whole thing's supposed to look nicer. Werewords is a very fun 20 questions mixed with werewolf party game. They're adding a plush thing, a cuddly plush lion werewolf. I wonder if this will be something that you'll see a lot of people buying at conventions. Brutality. This is a first-time project from these folks. It's a medieval combat brawler board game for 2 to 4 players where you have a couple miniatures and you run around fighting each other. The trailer is one that kind of rivals the Hate trailer and how over-the-top 80s it is. It looks okay, but it's doing well, and again, miniatures help everything. Heroes of Stalingrad from Devil Pig. This is a sequel to their other games that they have done in this thing, where it's kind of a tactical combat game, but everything has counters, but this one looks really good. World War II style game, and your tactical combat in different scenarios. I really have enjoyed their stuff, so we'll wait and see on this one. Catastrophes. It's a game about cats causing problems, and you're playing number cards in front of people face up, face down. The game doesn't really look like much, but it is doing extremely well. It's about cats, that's probably why. Dragon Keepers. This is from Nightworks. This is from Vasel and Katerina Lacerda. Now, Vasel is known for making big, heavy games. This one does not look big and heavy. It looks like a lighter little game type deal, but it looks really good. Nightworks, incidentally, is one of the first companies to make a project on Kickstarter. I remember working with them way back in the day. But this looks miles ahead of their first thing, so I'm very interested to see what this one does. Another new company, Forbidden Games, is not quite as new as it sounds. It is made up of Glenn Drover, who was the person who started, started Eagle Games back in the day, and then worked with PopCap Games, and now is coming back with another board game company. And him and Keith Bloom are putting this together, and it is basically they're calling it Carcassonne mixed with Railroad Tycoon, which Railroad Tycoon, Glenn Drover's one of the designers. That sounds good. The thing looks good. It's another train-style game, but I'm certainly interested in checking it out. Daring Contest. This is blowing up in Kickstarter, so I thought I would mention it. It's a game where you play and dare someone to do something stupid. Blug. Alright, Make Big Things. This company is making a game called Good Dog, Bad Zombie. This is a cooperative game, another zombie-style game. I'm surprised at how well this one's doing because it really doesn't look that good, like graphic design-wise. It just kind of looks like a homemade game, which I guess it is. But maybe people like the name of it. There's a dog with the zombie arm in its mouth. Good Dog, Bad Zombie. Who knows? And finally, my pick of the week is Monumental. This is like a big Civilization-style game with all these really cool little miniatures and everything. What's interesting about this game is that it's another Kickstarter exclusive. Now, I'm not really taking that into account when I pick my pick of the week, so we'll see. Again, this seems to be happening more and more, but just how this game looks, Funforge has done some fantastic stuff in the past, from Tokaido to the Magic Maze. I really like their stuff. And this game just looks phenomenal. So pretty excited about this one, Monumental. Anyway, those are the games that I took a look at this week. Let's keep going.
Hey folks, and welcome to another FOMO, the segment where I take a look at a game that's seeking crowdfunding right now that I haven't decided if I want to back yet, and I have a little bit of a fear of missing out, and maybe you do too. Today I'm going to take a look at Arena the Contest. Arena the Contest is a tactical miniatures game for 1 to 8 players that can be played in either a PvP or a PvE mode. Players take on the roles of various heroes or combatants and assemble teams to tackle the challenge presented in front of them. In the PvP mode, players play against each other in teams until only one team remains standing. The PvE mode can be played as either a one-off quest or it can be played in a campaign mode with the characters gaining new items and the ability to level up along the way between quests. The playing area can be customized, but also includes a pre-made setup as well on the back of the board. The combatants available to players come in various categories, such as Brute, Tactician, Bruiser, Tank, Healer, Shooter, and Controller, with each combat role defining the optimal role of that character. However, players can choose to play their character however they wish, with the combat role only being an idea of how that character would fight. In the PvE mode, players will face various enemies which come with their own set of cards to define how they act and react, but the quest rules may also modify their behavior. In addition, there are bosses in the game such as dragons who present an even bigger challenge to the heroes. Overall, the game offers a combination of both tactical combat and strategic decision making no matter which mode it is played in. So that's a look at Arena the Contest. Now, I didn't go over rules because honestly, there are a lot of them. And this is one of the few times that I actually did do a playthrough over on my Blue Player channel about this game. So you could check that out if you want to see how the game itself plays. Now, what you saw in there was a prototype copy they were kind enough to send me, and it is a decent quality. It's not necessarily what you're going to get, but it was a good quality. And I like that they also took the care to send me some of the resin samples for the miniatures, and I'm really impressed with those. But what really impressed me in this game is the artwork. The artwork blew me away. Every time I looked at a new character, I brought out a new card, I was super impressed. It has this nostalgia feel while still being just truly amazing. But nostalgia is the thing that I felt the whole time I was playing this game. It made me feel like playing a lot of older dungeon type games, and I really enjoyed that. Now, the game plays in PvP or PvE mode. For me personally, I do prefer the PvE mode because I like campaigns, I like quests, and I like that they took the time to flesh out this big story and this world for that. The PvP mode, I could see myself enjoying in a tournament environment, but probably not as much at home. Overall, this is a game that I absolutely want to add to my collection, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Arena the Contest, and it's helped you decide if this is going to be a FOMO for you, and I look forward to seeing you folks next episode.
Christmas is exciting when you're a kid because you know the packages are coming. The packages show up, you open the packages, and you get cool stuff. And some people say it's like Christmas when games come in the mail. I know this. You can see our boring unboxings when we open games and it's fun to get them. And Kickstarter has that kind of mentality to it. And so I've noticed that people usually come down to two ways when it comes to Kickstarters. One way is back to Kickstarter, follow the updates, get excited, it's coming, 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 it's here, and it's exciting. Other people back at Kickstarter forget everything about it, ignore all the updates, and then one day the game shows up. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I find that sort of thing fascinating. And I thought, who would do that? But then I found out that I do that. Now, I back not a ton of Kickstarters. I back some Kickstarters, and most of the Kickstarters I back are not board game projects, because, well, I get a lot of board games anyway. But I back all kinds of various things. And I'll back it and say, that's a really neat idea. I'll back it. The survey comes out, I fill out the survey, and I don't think about it. And then one day it shows up, and you're like, what? Oh, that's right. And that is an exciting thing. We have to agree, that that's just fun. And I know a lot of people do that. But there's a couple problems with that. One is, as you do that, sometimes it's like, oh, wow, I wanted this thing, like a year ago. I already saw... there's been games in the past where someone said, I backed this game for my 7-year-old daughter, and now she's 12, and it's just not the same thing now that the game's finally out. Or, oh, wow, this game came out, but now there's another cool one on the market, and this one's just not as exciting anymore. Or some people, as soon as they get, they're like, ooh, that's cool, now what can I back next? That's the worst problem of all. But sometimes if you're not following these things, the game never gets delivered, or the thing never gets delivered, and sometimes there's a couple Kickstarters I backed which have not ever been sent out. And so I'm sitting around like, and I'm like, oh, did I ever get this Kickstarter? I don't know. And I go, look, oh, wow, it's 3 years late. I guess I'm never getting it. And so if you're not following it, that takes away the stress of that, right? You're like, oh, man, I backed a bad egg or something, which is fine because you have a little bit of pain. If you've been following it carefully and getting excited, it doesn't come. So am I saying back stuff and forget about them? I don't know. But for me, it works well, because then I don't get upset when it doesn't come. I don't think about it much. Well, for example, I backed Rising Sun, and I knew it was going to come eventually. And I finally remembered that was coming when I started seeing other people saying, hey, we got ours. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's about time for that to start showing up. And then you get excited again. And then it's like Christmas. Now, some people do it so that it's like sending yourself presents in the future. And that's kind of an interesting idea, but I don't know if that's the best way to do things. You're buying something now to give it to yourself later. But what if your tastes have changed later? I don't know. What do you think? What do you do when you back a Kickstarter? Do you back it and then follow it very carefully? Or maybe you're somewhere in the middle where you back it and you follow it occasionally? Or do you just back it and forget about it? I'm here to posit that might not be a bad thing to do.
Hi, this is Jamie from Stonemeyer Games, and today I'm going to talk about Kickstarter exclusives. Kickstarter exclusives are elements of a product that you offer to Kickstarter backers either for free as part of their pledge or for an additional cost, and then you don't offer them ever again. So it's only available during the Kickstarter campaign. This term is often mistaken or misused for another term, which is limited promos, which is when something is offered during the campaign and then after the campaign it's offered for sale or conventions or for giveaways, things like that. But a true Kickstarter exclusive, the meaning of the term is that it is exclusive to Kickstarter backers during the campaign. I'm going to give you two reasons why I would recommend using limited promos, which is something that is not exclusive. You can make as many as you want, but they are often limited in quantity. And you can sell them during the campaign or after the campaign at a higher cost. I'm going to explain why I think that is better than a Kickstarter exclusive. There are two objective, quantitative reasons why you would not want to use a Kickstarter exclusive. The first is that, like I said, you cannot sell it after the campaign. So even if you make the coolest component that has ever been created in a game and you label it Kickstarter exclusive, and you want to sell it, say you even have extra copies to sell after the campaign, you cannot do that without betraying your backers, without going back on your promise of making it exclusive to your Kickstarter backers. So you might be sitting on a supply of 100 of this awesome component, or you may want to make more of it because people want it. Thousands of people may want it, but you cannot do so. The second reason is some data from a poll that I did of about 1,000 people, 1,000 Kickstarter backers, and I asked them, after a Kickstarter campaign, if you discover a game in a game store and you love it, but you learn that there are Kickstarter exclusives for that game that you cannot get, 43% of people said that they wouldn't buy the game at all just because exclusives exist that they cannot get without going on eBay and, say, paying $300 for those exclusive components. 43% is a lot of people. That's a huge percentage of people after a campaign who are just saying, I'm not going to buy your game. That's a huge portion of the market. So for those two reasons, I would highly recommend using limited promos instead of Kickstarter exclusive. They're much more inclusive, they give you a lot more flexibility, but they still offer something special to your backers that might be harder to get later or might be available at a much higher price later directly from you or from other retailers. That's my recommendation. I know there are a lot of thoughts on Kickstarter exclusives, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on my Kickstarter Lessons blog and the blog entries that I've written about Kickstarter exclusives or in the comments below. Thanks.
Hey, Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with more Kickstarter lanyap. That's right, I'm bringing you projects that won't break your budget, but throw in a little something extra. Here's what I've been checking out this week. For the first time since I've been doing this segment, I finally get to talk about a game that I've played for a while. Mystery of the Temples was a game I reviewed back on my blog in February. It was a game from Emperor S4, but it was really hard to find stateside. The crew from Deepwater Games, however, they're bringing it back to Kickstarter this week. You know I love small box games, and here's another beautiful game that is not only portable, but it's easy to teach and it has a lot of depth. Mystery of the Temples is a 20 to 30 minute set collection game and an area control game with a cool theme. Up to 4 players play as curse breakers, wandering through the wilderness searching for temples and breaking curses. Players will take turns collecting each of one of 6 different gems, which can be used to break those curses. Up to 4 players will put the gems on their cards, and the different patterns of the colored gems to be used are actually on each temple. You can even trade in the colorless gems for specific colors that you might need to break one of the curses. Once the curses are broken, players are rewarded with rune cards, which give you extra bonuses when you visit areas that match that rune symbol. The first curse breaker to break 5 curses triggers the end game. Now, scoring's easy. You'll count up the value of the curses that each player has broken. The more difficult patterns are worth more points. You'll count up the different types of rune cards. This is the set collection part. And finally, we're going to look at the area control of each temple. The more curses broken at a temple, the more points a player will score. It's a small box game, but take a look at these components. They feel like they came from a larger production. Each temple has beautiful artwork on the outsized cards, or the oversized cards, and the gems are nice little plastic representations of each color. All in all, this is a really nice production that fits the theme and also fits easily back in the box. Plus, there's some awesome lanyap. Nolan Nasser and the crew have added colorblind friendliness to the game. Now let's take a look at the pledge levels. The one I'm checking out is $25 or more. You can get Mystery of the Temples and all the promos for it, and little lanyap, free shipping if you live right here in the United States, with a production and delivery date of June of 2018. You can even pledge at some of these other levels for some of the other games coming out from Deepwater Games in this Kickstarter, or spend $30 and get a cool playmat from Mystery of the Temples. So that's Mystery of the Temples from Deepwater Games. It's out on Kickstarter right now. What do you think of the project? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, laissez le bon temps rouler.
And that's it for another Crowdsurfing. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We do this bi-weekly. Check us out. You can also check out our Kickstarting segment that we do every week on Board Game Breakfast, a show that comes out each Monday. Suzanne does a great job on that. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Crowdsurfing on the Dice Tower.